What I want to talk about today is the whole idea of construction phases, of keeping track within one model when things are built, when they're demolished, and when new things are built. And if you remember in the AutoCAD class, we did that by layers, I think. We had a demo layer and whatever. AutoCAD doesn't actually keep track of things through time. Revit does. And just as sort of a little example here, a building might have gotten built like this originally, with a wall across the middle, added something. 2010, they started all over again from scratch, erased all this, put those in. 2015 added those. 2020 started again from scratch and expanded the building. And Revit can keep track of all that right in one file. Phases 1, 2, and 4 just involve building new stuff, but phases 3 and 5 include demolition as part of the phase. The same crew that comes and knocks the old walls down is the one that builds the new one. That all part of the same contract. And that means that each individual object, let's say these two walls right here, have associated with them the phase when they were constructed in phase 3, and then the phase when they were demolished, which is in this case stage phase 5. And what we're going to be doing today is walking through this and then figuring out how to put them on a title block so we can see existing, demolition, and proposed. And then that will be what the next assignment will be of you doing that to another project on your own. And do you know if Molly's going to be asking you to do demolition drawings for your Schneider Hall project? Has that come up? We should probably check with her on that. So I guess my question would be, are those walls that you got rid of still part of your models? Or they're just toast? Okay. Well, this might be more a slightly academic exercise for the Schneider Hall project in this class, but I just wonder where that stood. We'll bear it in mind for next semester, because for next year, we'll certainly need to be keeping track of that kind of information, and you surely do in the real world. The demolition part of a contract could be as much as the new part once you've, depending on the scope and scale of that. And I'll briefly go over what I wrote here. CAD, it's just so easy to take a wall and move it. Easy. But in the real world, somebody has to knock down a wall, cart everything out to the dumpster, maybe salvage a window or something out of it, and build a whole new wall. So it's a different. We don't just like move stuff and figure that counts for demolition and new construction. When a contractor is bidding a project, he needs to know how many dumpsters to order to use for all the, and how much time to put in for that whole demolition process. In AutoCAD, I usually, when I was doing this, I would very often have just two plans next to each other in model space of like the existing one and the proposed one. And I could copy stuff back and forth and change the layer. The problem with that in Revit, where the models are large, is, we could do that, but there's really two problems. One is it's really hard to keep two separate models consistent with each other in terms of what's in one, what got moved, what got changed. And it also means that your files would end up being twice as big, because you'd actually have two buildings in there instead of one. And keeping track of which view of which model is on which sheet is really an issue. So what we'll be doing today is, and I just gave a sort of semi-existing conditions of this room, is we'll on a sheet we'll end up with, here's our title block, what we're starting out with, which is that's the download from week 2 course content. And then we'll have the demo plan, and then we'll have the new plan. So it's sort of a mechanical CAD logical sort of a day, as opposed to the retouching, which I know is more fun, but you got to know this too. So try to accommodate both. It will often happen that when you get a Revit model of an existing building, it will already have maybe several different phases in it. At that point, you need to ask whoever is giving it to you, if there's already 3 phases in there of previous work, do you want to consider this phase 4? Or can I just start again with assuming all this is existing conditions, and then we're going to do new construction as essentially as our phase 2? And for now, I'm assuming we've been given the Schneider Hall floor plans, and we're taking that as a given. We don't care what happened in 1946. We don't care what happened in 1964. We don't care what happened last year. As far as we're concerned, it's all existing. And if we select some of these in the object's properties, and you really always need to have this turned on for this kind of work, because this will show us for each object what phase it was created and when it was demolished. This wall, the wall out here, we can see here in phasing. I'm going to turn off this bottom thing. We never use that. It was created in the existing phase and it's never been demolished, so it still shows up. But if we get over to this wall, we can see it went in sort of the last time this building was updated, that those got built and they're still officially in the new construction phase. We would like to take everything back to existing, just our baseline where we started for this Schneider Hall redesign. We don't want to have to think about 5 different phases since the building was built. And you could go through and pick each object and tell it that we want it to be in the existing phase. But the easiest way to do that is to go into Manage Phases, and if your screen is small, this might be stacked in with some of the other icons. Do we all see this on laptop screens? Phases. And we can see that we have just 2 phases right now associated with this drawing. Existing, which is the hall walls, and then new construction, which is the little office there. So we're just going to say, make those all part of the existing phase. So we'll take new construction, anything that's in the new construction, which includes these walls. It's going to take new construction and combine it with the previous phase. That will just automatically take all those walls that were in the new construction phase, and from now on it will treat them as if they're in the existing phase. I'll just do this. And this is the exact same procedure that a Seidler goes through if you need to come back and just get a totally different take on it. So we'll say combine with previous. And it does a little thinking, changes a bunch of attributes. And now we have only one existing phase in this model. Cut this out of the video. And as we see when we come back to this wall, it's stop a minute. That's not how it's supposed to work. I wonder if that thing worked. But I bet I didn't say apply. I didn't hit apply. Okay, so before you get too crazy, I didn't hit apply. New construction. I guess I have to pick it out here. Combine with previous. Apply. And okay. And now this wall has been kicked back to the existing phase. I make all these mistakes so that you will learn by knowing that it happens to the best of us. Okay, apply and okay. And now we have just the one phase that describes all these guys. So now we basically need to create a new construction phase, which we can call anything we want. We can call it phase 1, we can call it redo, we can call it 2023, but we'll call it new construction for now, just to keep very clear what's going on there. We'll go back to phases, and we're going to add, after that one, it just added a phase it calls phase 1, and we're going to call it new construction. And one of the reasons I've had to do this in my own work is, by default, Revit starts out all its views set to the new construction. The views phase is set to new construction. So you start measuring things that are around you in the building, and when you draw them, they're in a new construction phase because that's the default for all those views. But now we have an existing phase that has everything in it, and a new construction phase has nothing in it. Apply. Okay. Each view has what's called its phase filter. And that's where each of these views is told what to show in terms of the phases that we've drawn them in. So right now, the phase is existing. So this view is showing our existing stuff. And I'm going to rename this view, rename this floor plan to make it really clear what's being shown in it. And since it's existing, this is my level 1 floor plan. You know, I've got a couple of views called level 1. There's a level 1 floor plan and a level 1 ceiling plan. I would like to make sure that those are distinguished as well. So I'm going to right click level 1, the level 1 floor plan, and rename it. And let's call this level 1 floor existing. And whenever we get this kind of a message, I don't want to rename the level to level 1 floor. I don't want to rename the level itself to match what I just typed in. So don't show me again, and don't ask again, and don't do it. So now up here, my tab at the top, instead of just saying level 1, which could be level 1 floor plan, level 1 furniture plan, level 1 something or other, is now level 1 floor plan existing conditions. So it's very, very clear across the top here just what's going to be happening. I'm going to make 2 copies of this. One to show the demo going on for level 1, and one to show new construction on level 1. So the way we do that, and you guys got with your Schneider Hall project, got ahead of what I was teaching last semester to some extent. So I'm not sure where you are with duplicating views. So I'm just going to go through it, and I'm right clicking and going to duplicate view. And with duplicate view, we have 3 different possibilities. One is plain old duplicate, just copy the geometry and the things, the furniture, the wall, the doors, into the new view. The other is duplicate with detailing, which is all of those plus dimensions, text, arrows, that kind of stuff. And duplicate is dependent. I forget exactly what that does. It keeps them linked, but I forget to what extent. It's not something I use. For right now, we just want to duplicate it. We don't have any, we got some text in there, but won't worry about that. Duplicate. So where did the desks go? Oh, I know why that happened. Control Z, just let me change that for a second. These guys are not actual furniture. They're just drawn rectangles. So they count as annotation. They're not desks. They're just squares on the page. So let's duplicate with detailing while we're at it. We can turn it on or turn it off. Duplicate with detailing. And this is going to be our view where we show the what's being demolished. So a right click, rename. I'm just setting these up first. Level 1 floor demo. Demolition is part of a phase. One crew is knocking things down while another crew is building new ones happening at the same time. So the demolition one, its phase is actually part of the new construction phase. And what we want to show in it, however, is not the new walls when we get around to building them, but what we want to show there is previous, meaning existing, plus the things that were demolished in this phase. And right now we don't have that stuff here yet, but we will shortly. I just want to get the views set up first. And then our final one will be where we show the existing to remain. The stuff we demo is not visible, and our new walls are visible. So that we can duplicate either one of these views. Let's do it with detailing again. And we're going to call this level 1 floor new. And its phase is new construction. and we want to show it in its final complete stage. And that's just what we have here. This step 8 here in the lecture notes. So right now these all look the same because they're all just showing us our existing walls. What we're going to do is put these on a title block and then start demolishing stuff and start new ones, and we'll see the three views update. So let's go into sheets. We can right click on sheets, new sheet. We'll pick this big one, say okay. I just want to drag these in more or less in chronological order of like existing, demo, and new. That's going to be larger than I want. That's at a 1/4 inch, I think. So we'll change this view to 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to turn its crop view on so we can close that in a little bit. Existing, demo, change the scale. Turn on the view, borders. New, 1/8 of an inch. Borders. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the existing alone. We're not changing existing, but in our new phase, in our new construction, I should, both of these are in the new construction phase. This is going to be showing demo. This is going to be showing what's completed. Going to click in here and start demolishing walls. And that's with a modify, two different ways. I like this one, modify demolish, use the sledgehammer on it. And this is different from erasing it. This leaves it in existing, but gets rid of it shows that it's demolished in the demo drawing and does away with it in the new drawing. So we can do that with any of these objects. Here's the door, we'll make go away. The window, the wall, the wall. And I'm going to say we're going to push that wall out, which of course is not a matter of pushing the wall out, it's a matter of demolishing that wall. And you notice that when I do so, the door that is hosted by that wall also is demolished. And I'll get rid of this little wall too. We're just going to assume that we've got a new wall going across here once we're done. So instead of manipulating layers and turning things on and off that way and having to keep track of, you've got a real wall here in AutoCAD and another wall on a demo layer here and another wall on a new one. We're just sort of sorting things by time. It's like, sort of like a little animated movie of where things are in time, of where they were before, where they are during, where they are once we're done. I'm going to turn off all the furniture. I don't know when we're going to take that back or what's going to happen to this room. So let's see what happens if I demo that. See if, well, it looks like things aren't, I can do the furniture because they're real things. You can see the furniture is disappearing, But it seems like what you can demo is only actual things with substance. So I'm going to need to erase these guys, the desks, because they're just drawn. They're not physical objects that can be knocked down. So I'm going to demolish the furniture. And the quick way to do that, to get, instead of click on the chairs, is select it, select one of them, select all instances, an entire project, and I can demolish them, or it's exactly the same thing. I can say phase demolished equals new construction, apply, and then they show up dotted in here, kind of, and then vanished over here in this view. So it looks like these guys. Let me just open this up. I think what I need to do with these that aren't really furniture is just move them out there. The numbers and stuff, we'll just move all that stuff. And then we can copy them back into the drawing. Normally in a whole construction sequence, moving the furniture out is not necessarily going to be part of the contractor's job at all. That would be handled by a salvage furniture company. Somebody would come in and sell it later on. So it's not really part of the construction cycle. TV screen. And this is this down here is actual casework. We can demolish that in the new construction phase. Let's continue this wall across here. I don't want to just take this wall and drag it to meet the outside wall, because this is existing and this part will be new construction. So what we're going to do is just create a new wall of the same type just right next to it, and one will be existing and one will be new. Cleanest way to do that is to select something and just highlight it and type CS for create similar. And you don't even have to hit the enter key. It's just ready to go. And I'll take this over to, I don't know how it's going to hit the windows exactly, but we'll leave it there for the time being. So we can see that new wall, new construction, phase created new construction shows up only here, doesn't show up in the demo half of the new construction phase, and doesn't show up at all in the existing. So anything that we create in this new construction view will be created in the new construction phase. That's what this is. This is the new construction phase. So what do we want to do in here? Would be nice to have kitchenette, ladies' lounge, faculty office. Let's just use this as the corner and do something like that. Again, I can, since I'm assuming it'll be this same wall type, I can select it, type CS, and I want it to line up right with this edge of the column here. So instead of saying wall center line, I'm going to say finish face exterior or interior, doesn't matter since it's a two-sided wall. Click there, and if it ended up being on the other side, I can use the space bar to change the orientation of that and come down to there. And then over to there. If I take this wall, this door, which is existing, and again type CS for create similar, and put another one over here, it will be identical door, but it will be new construction because it was created here in the new construction phase. I can put it into a window if we want some windows or something rather, you know, the way that one does. So existing, demo, new construction. We have not duplicated anything. We don't have two models next to each other. We don't have each wall in there twice as a existing wall and as a demo wall. We don't have a separate layer. It's just one wall moving through time at different phases in its life. I think the most phases I've ever worked on a project was about 5, where they had a lot of structural foundation work going on first on a renovated building. And that was all dealt with at one phase. It was one whole contract. And then a couple of other through the period. Sometimes if let's say if you decide to wait, you need to get a building occupied. So you might do the whole first floor or the first, let's say 2 floors as your phase 1, get that space rented. And then you go on later to do the 3rd and 4th floors as a separate contract. You want to have those separated out so that the person seeing the drawings for the 3rd and 4th floors realizes, oh, I don't have to do the stuff that's already on the 1st and 2nd floor. But as a rule for school projects, as existing and new construction is all we really need. You're given something that's there. You decide what you need to remove and what you want to keep. The exact same process will apply if you're making any significant ceiling plan changes. I have a level 1 ceiling plan here. There we go. ZE to zoom extents. Right now, this is the existing plan for that, and it might well be that we want to get rid of all these light fixtures and put in new ones or move them or whatever, in which case we would set up the same 3 views: ceiling existing, ceiling demo, ceiling new, get rid of these and put in the new stuff in the new construction phase of things. And that'll be part of your assignment, is doing that, of new light fixtures, as well as, I don't know, some new ceiling treatment. Okay, just to throw all this at you at one time, Revit is set up automatically to understand about what demo wants to look like, and we can change this to red, we could change it to smaller dashes, but this is fine. But what I would like to do is just to really call attention to the new layers, the new walls here, especially if you have a lot of new walls and old walls on the same floor, and being very clear about which one is which. I would like to treat these new walls graphically different from the old ones. And by default, they just look the same, but I would like to shade them the light gray tone, just so they'll pop out from the old stuff. And it'll be really clear when we do a little wall legend. It'll be very clear, okay, the new walls are the ones that are light gray. This actually is a lecture that I keep near my desk because it works, and it's something I don't do that often. In this view, this view here, remember that what's called the phase filter, which tells it what to show, is set to show complete. We could do a couple other things. We could do show just the new. We could do show all, which would show, sort of like what's going on over there. Well, actually, show all is everything. It's existing, it's demo and new. We can play this a couple of different ways. But what we really want to show here in the final one is to show complete. What's going to be like when we're done. And in manage phases, we have the phases here. Don't get too hung up. We're just going to do a little bit here and then drop it forever. Phase filters is what it means. What each of those, when it says show complete, what does that mean? It means how to display each of those different kind of objects. And we're not touching that, but we are going to do is change what's called the graphic overrides. Phase filters here, show complete, new walls are just showing up by category, looking just like the existing walls. We want to change that one thing. We want to change this to, we're going to override it from the way Revit is showing it right now, and change that to we'll say apply. And then we'll go to graphic overrides and say that new walls will now have this. They'll now be filled in solid. That's the default override. I don't like them solid because I might have a line in there that indicates a fire rating or something rather. So I'm going to go back to phases, overrides, and change the lines themselves to something thinner. 5's pretty thick. I'm going to change it to 3. But mostly I'm going to change the pattern, that black, to a light gray. So if any lines are drawn in there or text or anything like that, we'll be able to see it. Okay, apply. Okay. So that gets us back to being able to clearly distinguish between existing walls to remain and new walls that will be built. And we don't have to deal with the demolished walls because they aren't there anymore. We can now move since these are copied, these are not these, these are copied. They're copied from one view to the next. So if I want to move them back in with a new furniture arrangement, I can move them back in however I care to set those up without affecting them over here. And I guess I'd get rid of them over here. Control Z, which I think I just do with, I'll just erase them over here. Heck. They're copies, they're not these, they're just all on their own. And I could do the same thing for those up there. I do have to say one last thing. Since you've all moved on to rendering, especially at the conceptual stage, a lot of times construction projects will have renderings that are not photorealistic. They will be like gray for, we actually do the rendering or see it in 3D. You'll have, something like gray for existing, red for stuff that's being demolished. So it's really clear where that has to come in. So just solid red chunks of stuff, a whole second floor or something or other. Green for new and orange for temporary or something or other like that. So if you've turned on this override, these materials, what these are showing, phase exists, phase demo, phase new, and phase temporary, will be everything you put your heart and soul into giving it this beautiful wood or concrete or metal texture will just be showing up red or green or gray. So the way to get rid of these is just to erase them in the dialog box. That's what, okay. So we clean these out. And since these are overrides, these materials are not overriding the actual materials that you've assigned to things. So they will render the way that you expect them to render with brick or whatever it happens to be. And you can see what those are. You go in and explore those. Make them any color you want, but we're not going to. It's like a lot of things you don't need it until you need it, and then somebody needs to see, well, what do I have to knock down on this project? And you have to be able to show them that. Apply. Okay. So now things will render with the colors that we expect them to render.